And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winnick. I'm the founder and CEO at Thought Leadership Leverage. And you're joining us on the podcast today, which is Leveraging Thought Leadership. Today, my guest is Mark McIntosh, and he solves a pretty interesting problem that we see often. His company is RevGrow Works, and it works with founder-led advisory and professional services firms whose growth depends on trust, reputation, and long-term relationships. And it's really about going from unpredictable to predictable. But I'll let Mark dive into a little bit deeper what he does and how he does it. So welcome aboard today, Mark.
Thanks, Peter. Great to join you.
So as I understand it, based on previous conversation we've had, there are lots of founder-led consulting advisory firms. I'm guilty of doing that, right? That's what I do, right? And, the problem they have is it's good until it's not, right? Business comes in and low-hanging fruit and referrals and all those things are lovely. But oftentimes the revenue or the P&L is a little bit choppy and spiky because the pipeline's unpredictable, right? So talk about how you saw that opportunity and where you're playing there and where thought leadership comes in to solve that.
Great. Well, about 10 years ago, I launched RevGrow. And like you had mentioned, those people, they get a certain level through referrals and word of mouth, which is amazing, but they're unpredictable and there's not nearly enough of them. And they're not very consistent usually. And so we recognize that and sought out to solve that problem for our clients. My background is in professional services. I'm a CPA by trade and just found it to be people I was talking with who are now our clients. They were really good when somebody had an immediate opportunity and
Sure.
especially when they were referred in. But where they struggled is their pipeline lived in someone else's memory to connect the dots and say, "Oh, that sounds like something Peter could help you with. Let me
And,
introduce you to Peter."
and they don't fancy themselves or might not have trained at all or studied, just basic marketing, right? If
That's
you're,
right.
and
Yeah,
I think CPAs have it a bit easier than some in professional services because not that nobody wants to see their accountant, but it's sort of mandated that April
right.
15th is
Right.
coming along, where most of us don't have that in professional services, where there's a mandated time that you need to do something and then, whatever. Attorneys, it's more situational, opportunistic, advisors, consultants, et cetera, similar thing. So how do you go about doing that? What's the approach? What's the methodology?
Yeah. Yeah. So we leverage primarily LinkedIn to help our clients basically stand out from the crowd, become known with the right people or in front of the right audiences, and then be remembered, start conversations, get meetings, one on ones going, sharing thought leadership that turns into conversations and staying top of mind. So, a lot of our clients, the person, like you said, doesn't have a compelling reason or an urgent need
Sure.
to engage. So, it's like, how do you convince this person that what you're offering will solve a problem for them? And oftentimes, if somebody has an immediate need, yeah, it's great. Those are easy, low hanging fruit.
Yes.
But it's like if it takes 6 months, 8 months, 24, 36 months, how do you stay top of mind so that you're remembered and ultimately chosen? And so we've created a playbook on LinkedIn that leverages thought leadership. First of all, expert positioning and getting clear on your uniques and your audience, your ICP, your ideal customer
So
profile, and your
stay there
ideal
a second.
referral
Um,
partner. Yep.
Yeah, stay there a second because there's a lot there, and I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
sort
for
of
sure.
unpack some of it. Number one, oftentimes in my conversations with clients about the use of LinkedIn, they cringe, and the reason that they're cringing is I think we've all become victims of really poor, call it etiquette, whatever, on
Yep.
LinkedIn, right? You wouldn't show up at an event, grab a bullhorn, and scream, look at me, come buy what I have."
Yep.
But in essence, that's what So when we think about the brand LinkedIn is phenomenal. But when I think about how I get solicited on LinkedIn, I put it into a couple of buckets. One is, why the hell did you pick me? You're offering me sort of outsourced, I don't know, logistic operational services. not
Mhm.
relevant. So I just call that like stupid, lazy marketing, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
went right in for the kill. Hey, I'm an accountant. Can I do your accounting? No, like you don't know anything, like whatever. So I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, what you're talking about is if you're consistently putting out high quality thought leadership
Mhm.
to the right people, because by the way,
Yeah.
not everyone cares about what you do, could use what you do, whatever.
Yeah.
Then when the time comes,
Yeah.
they'll automatically go to you. In fact, I had a conversation with somebody early this morning, and his approach, which I totally love, is listen, I know who my people are. I just don't know the when. So I know what they're worried
Mhm.
about. I know what their struggles are. So I'm consistently putting out high quality stuff. When they need me, I'm top of mind. And his space was in high stakes communication for senior executives. So we don't
Mhm.
know when that executive needs a communication coach, but we know that if they're following that person's newsletter, they're reading the things that they're writing on. When situation comes that they determine is time, when they call you, you're already on third base from a sales pipeline. So does that align with your mindset?
100%, 100%. So it's adding value, it's staying top of mind, and ultimately getting chosen and doing it the right way. So many people out there, they're what you're referring to. We call it pitch slapping or connecting and pitching. Doesn't work. But to your point, you got to be clear on who your people are, who's your audience, how can you help them, what's in it for them to read your thought leadership or engage in a conversation. And your ideal customer is one piece of that. A lot of our clients, they've grown through referrals, like we
Yeah,
chatted about. So we spend as much time or even more time getting clear on your ideal referral partners or those COIs,
sure.
centers of influence.
Yes,
And it's more of a less of a volume game, but more of a quality over quantity, although both are arguably important. And
sure.
it's
So,
about giving first, sharing
yep.
insights, and offering points of view and things that might be contrary in nature, but
Yeah,
they really get the audience to think. And but the top of mind awareness and
yeah.
just being front and center with your referral partners and your prospects is what we found that our typical clients, they don't do a very good job at that. So we
Great.
help
So
them with
couple
that.
things there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one, there's a mindset of generosity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I wanna unpack a little bit. Part of the downside. I don't know if downside, but part of the bug in the referral world is the unpredictability, right? So I think we all have. Most of us should have great referral partners that are important to us, right? We just don't know. Hey, is that person going to refer me three times this week or nothing for 3 months and whatever? And it's not a top of mind thing. It's just opportunistically their flow, whatever is going on there. So one of the things I want to unpack on what you're doing, there's a similar bug in that, yes, if we're consistently putting out in a generous way high quality content to the people that matter most to us, the outcome will be when the time is right for them, we'll be top of mind and we'll at least get an at bat, right? I think that for many CEOs and entrepreneurs, there's an impatience factor. Wait a minute, I've been doing this for a week. I posted 10 times on LinkedIn and I didn't get 10 new deals. Talk about sort of the compounding effect, the flywheel and that because that's what I speak to a lot.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's to your point, it's about leading first with service and trying to help people and kind of that go giver mentality. And then it's about um, being consistent and intentional with a handful of people throughout the year. And when I say
Yeah,
handful, that might be 8 people, that might be 20 people or 30 people, but it's that consistency and the intentionality and doing things to help them go first, make deposits into that relationship, obviously.
sure.
And that leads to the reciprocity factor. It helps you stay top of mind. It's fun to help people. And it goes way beyond the checking in or the touching base
Yeah,
or the
exactly.
monthly newsletter, which are
Right.
fine, but not for your inner circle. Those people, that prospects and referral partners that will most likely refer business your way.
Right.
And
So I
I
I
talk
I think about it. in a couple of different ways, in that there's a time and place to have what I would call sort of the marketer's campaign mentality, right?
Yeah.
Which, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like if you're doing a marketing campaign, there's different touch points and you want to see, so like a newsletter, one of the
Mhm.
things that you need to look at is, well, what's my open rate, right? What's the growth rate of that newsletter? What does that look like, right? But that's a predictive indicator, right? So if you say,
Mm.
oh, my open rate is only 20%, but it should be 40%, okay, let me do that over time. Or if you've got a specific campaign that's going to be, say, 5 emails over 8 months or whatever it is, you want to see those things happening. I think what happens and what you're advocating is you have to get out of that campaign mentality and you have to look at it more over the long term. Because if you have a campaign the last 30 days, you have 30 days and maybe there's a touch points to tweak it. What you're talking about, at least for me, I don't I look at it maybe over 6 months, over a year, and I say, okay, here's the things I'm doing over a year, right? And it cost me this much time, energy, and money. And here's the return over that year. And when you broaden the scope, the math works. If you say, ooh, I only did that, I did it for 60 days and it doesn't work, you're doing a lot of start and stop. Speak to that or tell me I'm wrong. Whatever.
No, the campaigns, the regularity, all of that's very important. I think that's great for top of the funnel activity to bring awareness to those people that may not have ever heard of you. There's also a top of mind element that I think is valuable for some of that.
Yes.
What we found to work best is that it's all about relationships and that know, like, and trust factor and going deep with a handful of people and going not something you can necessarily automate or funnel. It's about genuine relationship building and regularity in your contacts. And I know a lady, Marcia, she grew a $1 million business just by making 5 personal phone calls every day. That was her secret sauce. And it was the intentionality and the personal connection and just doing it consistently that enabled her to build a $1 million advisory practice. So
And I would
it's
imagine for her, there were points along the way where she might have said, "Oh, this is discouraging. This is exhausting.
yeah.
Nothing's happening." And then the problem today, there's always a new shiny thing to jump on, right? So I
Mhm,
love that
mhm,
there's a place for short-term transactional, campaigns, and this has to sort of layer into what you do and how you do it, right?
mhm.
And
That's
I
right.
like your
Yep.
point of saying, don't focus on the many, focus on the few. So there's leverage in saying, who are my most important referral partners? They're
Mhm.
out there doing their thing every day. And what do I do with them? If you ever wondered how strong ideas become visible, trusted, and scalable, that's the work behind the Thought Leadership Handbook. Bill Sherman, Naren Ariel, and I wrote it for experts who are ready to move from insight to real impact. Learn more at thoughtleadershiphandbook.com and order it today at Amazon, B&N, Bookshop, or Amplify. I want to sort of switch this a little bit and talk about, you know, you're in essence a target market for you. So therefore you have to eat your own dog food, right? So tell me about your use. How are you using thought leadership and what you do in your frameworks and methodologies, et cetera, to lead by example and how impactful and effective is it for your business?
Great question. A lot of our business does come through referrals. So we have 30 referral partners that
Mhm.
have made intros and referred business to us more than once. And those people we touch through phone calls, through LinkedIn engagement, through regular gifting throughout the year, not gifts of gratitude, thanks for
Yeah.
your referral. Thanks for being part of the network. Not, hey, send me some
So
more
let me
referrals.
interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second. I'm going to guess, but maybe not, that 80/20 rule applies to those 30. They're not.
Well,
It's not equally distributed, right?
no,
Okay.
100%. So
Good.
we have 3 or 4 referral partners that probably about 60%
Okay.
of our referrals come through them. Now, it takes it may take months or years to identify who those referral partners are, and we got those primarily through being part of CEO peer groups
Yes.
like Vistage
Yep.
and
Yep.
people we've met through EO and
Yep.
Goldman Sachs and different programs and networking. And we just were very fortunate and blessed to find people that
Okay.
serve a similar ICP,
Yep.
and they had that same mentality, give first. They're offering something complimentary, and a lot of their clients struggle with pipeline consistency and over
Yes.
reliance on referrals and things like that. So over time, you can develop those sorts of flywheels where it's like you may get 30
Sure.
introductions and referrals a year from those 4 or 5, 3 or 4, whatever the number is for you. And and then we reciprocate, obviously. And so I think identifying those referral partners where you serve the same audience with
Yep.
complementary and like-mindedness and things like that, that's that's where we see the biggest value in that flywheel take effect.
So let me ask you this. So you talk about reciprocity and being a good partner. So I can tell you from experience, I have probably about 5 or 6 really strategic referral partners. And the reality is half of them could refer more to us than we can to them
Yeah.
because just that's just the nature of the work. Yet they still appreciate it because they're looking at it. Now, some are looking at it, maybe there's a revenue for them or something for them, or, oh, if I give Mark, he's going to give me back. Others look at it and say, you know what? It just makes me look good to my client to
Yep.
refer people that I'm working with or prospects to other smart providers that can be helpful for them. And if that's all that happens, I'm cool with that. So I guess my point is you have to understand what they want out of it. If all a referral partner wants is, I want you to send me more dollars, and that's not practical based on the dynamics of the two
Yep.
businesses, that's going to lead to disappointment.
Yeah. And to your point, our referral partners that send us the most business, they're not being compensated, but they have elevated themselves as a trusted
Yeah,
advisor. And they're not the hero in the relationship. They're introducing their client to me who can help solve that issue and help them achieve their goals. So I'm not the hero, but the hero is the client that they're referring. And it's about just being that trusted advisor and caring about their entire business and not just so a lot of the people that refer us the most business, they're going much deeper and much broader and helping their clients
sure.
with their entire business instead of just worried about tax compliance, for
Yeah,
example.
exactly.
And so yeah, and it's about, I always send an immediate thank you. I let them
Sure.
know after, how it went, what next steps are. So I think that's obviously important, but
Well, you say
it's,
obvious, but common sense
yeah,
isn't common, right?
well,
So if I referred you to, so and so, a
yeah,
colleague, friend, first of all, I'm at risk, right? Like I'm
oh,
risking the trust, the relationship, whatever. So I wouldn't do that unless I knew you were of integrity, I knew that you do what you say. So I might not say to you, hey, that guy Bob I referred you to 2 weeks ago, how'd that work out? But somewhere in the back of my head, I might be thinking, I wonder if. So for you to be ahead of it and say, oh, hey, Peter, that guy Bob you introduced me to 2 weeks ago, we had a lovely conversation. And here's how I think I can help him, or I can help, whatever the outcome was, it closes that uncertainty. So I know, okay, well, that was handled really well. And whether something came of that or not, Mark gets more points because Mark's doing the right thing. He's following up. He's making me feel comfortable. Guess what? I'm going to want to send somebody else to Mark.
100%. And
Cool.
a lot of cars that we receive are introductory in nature, kind of good guys should know good guys type of thing. But again, that having trust that, hey, you're not going to just hop on a phone and pitch them.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key. I mean, the referrals, when somebody has an immediate need that someone in your network can solve, that's one scenario. The other scenario would be, you should meet Peter. You guys, serve a similar audience. You're both
Sure.
go givers, if you will. And you guys may have some referral synergies. So a lot of it is introductions, proactive and targeted
Yeah.
introductions to other referral partners who serve the same audience. And we found that a lot of people out there, they're really good at making referrals that 3 times a year or 1 time a year where it
Huh.
comes up. But we found a lot of benefit by just introducing and connecting other referral partners that together could exponentially grow their business.
Yep.
So we do a lot of that as well. So it's not strictly referrals, it's introductions and doing these
Sure.
warm introductions, and LinkedIn's great for that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been
well,
great. I appreciate your time, and the last that I'll say is Mark does eat his own dog food. We met, I think, a month or so ago,
yeah,
and unsolicited, he made, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 introductions, and that, I think that says a lot when somebody show me, don't tell me, right? There's a reason when you go to, the bakery, they give you samples of the muffin instead of describing how great it is. You give me a damn sample. So I appreciate that. So anyway, great stuff. Thank you for coming on today, Mark. Appreciate it.
thanks, Peter.
To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.